Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire begins with a dream that feels less like a nightmare and more like a warning from the future. Harry Potter sees an old house, a frightened caretaker, a snake moving through the dark, and a voice he hoped he would never hear again. Lord Voldemort is still out there, still planning and still close enough to enter Harry's sleep. When Harry wakes, the world has not become safer since his third year. It has simply become bigger, stranger, and more dangerous. The story starts with Harry joining the Weasleys for a trip to the Quidditch World Cup. For once, he gets to stand in the middle of something joyful and enormous. Wizards from all over the world fill the camps, wearing their excitement openly. The match itself is dazzling, fast, and full of spectacle. Harry, Ron Weasley, and Hermione Granger get to watch a sporting event far grander than anything at Hogwarts, and for a while the film lets them enjoy being young. Then the celebration is shattered. Death Eaters, the masked followers of Voldemort, storm through the campsite, spreading panic and destruction. In the chaos, a dark symbol appears in the sky, the mark that once signaled Voldemort's power and his return. For the older witches and wizards, that sign means terror. For Harry, it means his nightmare is no longer confined to sleep. Back at Hogwarts, a new school year begins with an announcement that changes everything. The Triwizard Tournament is being revived after many years. It is a dangerous magical competition between three great schools: Hogwarts, Beauxbatons, and Durmstrang. One champion from each school will be chosen to compete in three deadly tasks, and because students have died in the past, only those above a certain age are allowed to enter. The arrival of the other schools makes Hogwarts feel different immediately. Beauxbatons arrives with elegance and composure. Durmstrang arrives with hard edges and intimidation. The visiting students are impressive, and the atmosphere in the castle changes from routine to performance. Everyone is suddenly more self-conscious. Rivalries sharpen. Romance starts flickering awkwardly between people who are no longer children. Harry is not old enough to enter the tournament, and at first that should settle the matter. He watches others dream about being chosen, especially Cedric Diggory, the talented and admired Hufflepuff student who seems to represent the kind of champion Hogwarts would proudly send. The choosing ceremony arrives, and the Goblet of Fire selects the three champions as expected: Fleur de Lacquer for Beauxbatons, Victor Crumb for Durmstrang, Cedric Diggory for Hogwarts. The room is already buzzing with excitement when the goblet spits out one more name: Harry Potter. The shock is immediate. Harry did not enter. He could not have entered honestly. But the goblet is treated as magically binding, and once his name is chosen, he is forced into the tournament whether anyone likes it or not. Suspicion closes around him instantly. Some students think he cheated to steal attention. Even Ron, his closest friend, struggles to believe Harry did not find some way to enter without telling him. For Harry, this is one of the loneliest stretches of the series so far. He is trapped in danger and blamed for wanting it. Adults argue over what should be done, but none of them can undo the choice. Alastor Moody, the new defense against the dark arts teacher, quietly watches everything with sharp interest. Moody is strange, intense, and unpredictable, but he is also one of the few adults who never talks to Harry like he is fragile. Instead, he starts preparing him to survive. First task is revealed only slowly. Harry learns he will have to face a dragon. This is not schoolboy danger. This is kill you in seconds danger. He spends days terrified, and the fear is honest. He gets help from Hagrid, who shows him the dragons in secret, and from Hermione, who never stops trying to help even when Harry and Ron are barely speaking. Moody also pushes Harry in a useful direction without giving too much away. The answer in the end comes from what Harry does best: flying. The first task is brutal and spectacular. Each champion must get past a dragon to retrieve a golden egg. Fleur struggles, Crumb relies on force, Cedric is steady and skilled. Harry uses his broom and turns the fight into a desperate aerial chase. It is dangerous and very nearly fatal, but he wins through speed, nerve, and instinct. The crowd that doubted him has to admit he belongs there, even if none of them understand why he was chosen in the first place. The victory changes some things. Ron realizes Harry was telling the truth and repairs their friendship. Yet the tournament is not only about monsters and tasks. The film also widens into the awkwardness of adolescence. Students are preparing for the Yule Ball, which should be glamorous but becomes an emotional disaster for almost everyone. Harry has to ask someone to the dance and fails at being smooth in every possible direction. Ron is equally hopeless. Hermione, who has so often been the clever girl no one quite knows what to do with, arrives transformed and stuns everyone. The ball becomes one of the first moments where the trio truly feel themselves changing. Jealousy, embarrassment, attraction, and insecurity all rise to the surface. Ron cannot handle seeing Hermione with Victor Crumb. Harry cannot explain his disappointment around Cho Chang well enough to do anything useful with it. Then the second task arrives and the tone shifts again. The champions must dive into the Black Lake and rescue something precious to them from the merpeople below. Harry once again enters the task with incomplete information and limited preparation. With help from Neville Longbottom and others around him, he finds a way to survive underwater. But what matters most in the task is not just that he reaches the hostages. It is that he cannot stop himself from trying to save more than he is supposed to. Even in competition, Harry cannot ignore someone he thinks might be left behind. As the tournament moves toward its final task, the mystery behind it grows more unsettling. Harry keeps having flashes of pain in his scar. He sees strange behavior around Barty Crouch, a powerful ministry official tied to the tournament. The adults are hiding things, and the sense that he's being pushed towards some larger design becomes harder to ignore. Moody continues helping him in oddly precise ways, always seeming to know exactly what he needs. At first, that reads as support. Later, it will mean something much darker. The third task is a maze, and on paper it sounds simpler than dragons and deep water. In reality, it may be the cruelest test because it is designed to confuse, separate, and manipulate. The maze turns inward as much as outward. Its paths shift. Creatures and curses wait inside it. Cedric and Harry end up moving through it almost as allies. Each knowing the other deserves respect. Cedric has no bitterness toward Harry anymore. He is one of the few people in the story who remains decent without complications. At the center of the maze is the Triwizard Cup. When Harry and Cedric reach it together, they choose to take it at the same time. It is a noble decision, and like many noble decisions in this world, it leads them straight into horror. The cup is a portkey. Instead of victory, it transports them to a graveyard. The tone of the film changes completely here. The bright spectacle of school life, competition, teenage awkwardness, and castle gossip falls away. What remains is death, ritual, and the return of something ancient and hateful. Peter Pettigrew appears, serving the broken remains of Voldemort. Without hesitation, he murders Cedric. The suddenness of it matters. Cedric is not lost in a heroic duel. He is simply killed, and that brutal simplicity tells the audience that the story has crossed into a much darker world. Harry is tied to a gravestone while Pettigrew prepares a ritual to restore Voldemort to full physical form. Bone from the father, flesh from the servant, blood from the enemy. With each step, the nightmare becomes more real, and then Voldemort rises again. This is the central event of the film and one of the defining turns of the entire series. Voldemort is no longer a shadow in the back of someone's head or a memory in a diary. He is alive, present, and terrifyingly calm. He calls back his followers, the Death Eaters, and they come. The graveyard becomes the place where private fear becomes public fact. The Dark Lord has returned. Voldemort wants more than Harry's death. He wants a demonstration. He wants to prove his power over the boy who once survived him. So he unties Harry and forces a duel. Harry is outmatched in every ordinary sense. He is younger, weaker, and standing in a graveyard full of enemies. But when the spells collide, something extraordinary happens. The connection between their wands locks them together. Echoes of Voldemort's recent victims emerge from his wand, including Harry's parents. They cannot stay, but they buy Harry the seconds he needs. Their presence gives him one final push to act. Harry breaks free, grabs Cedric's body, and touches the portkey again. He returns to Hogwarts carrying the truth in the most devastating form possible. Cedric is dead, and the tournament ends not with celebration but with a father's grief and a school's stunned silence. What follows is almost as important as the graveyard itself because it becomes a battle over truth. Harry tells Dumbledore what happened. Dumbledore believes him, but something is still wrong. Moody takes Harry away from the crowd, and inside his office the final hidden answer reveals itself. Moody is not really Moody at all. He is Barty Crouch Jr. in disguise, using Polyjuice Potion to impersonate the real man. He was the one who manipulated the tournament from the start, guiding Harry through each task so that he would reach the cup and be delivered to Voldemort. All the strange help, all the precise advice, all the nudges toward survival were not kindness. They were control. Before Crouch Jr. can do anything more, Dumbledore, Snape, and McGonagall burst in and stop him. Under questioning, the truth spills out. The real Mad Eye Moody has been imprisoned in a trunk for months. The tournament was a trap. Voldemort planned the return carefully, and Hogwarts was the stage. Even then, the larger world resists the truth. Cornelius Fudge refuses to accept that Voldemort is back. He sees the claim not as a warning but as a threat to stability and his own power. That refusal matters because it means the danger ahead will not come only from dark wizards. It will also come from fear, denial, and institutions choosing comfort over reality. Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire works because it is the point where the series leaves childhood behind in a visible way. The early parts of the film still carry spectacle, competition, crushes, jealousy, and school rhythms. Then the graveyard tears through all of that and shows what kind of story this has always been moving toward. Childhood games do not disappear neatly. They are interrupted by death. It is also a story about manipulation. Harry spends much of the film feeling as if he is finally proving himself through courage, and in one sense he is. But at the same time, he's being guided through a maze far bigger than the one in the third task. Adults around him are making moves, hiding motives, and using institutions to disguise darker plans. The revelation about Moody hits so hard because it exposes how thoroughly someone can weaponize trust. Most of all, the film matters because it forces Harry to carry a truth nobody wants. He returns from the graveyard not just as the boy who lived, but as the witness to Voldemort's rebirth. Cedric's death is not only tragic, it is the moment innocence ends for Harry's generation. After this, they can never again pretend that danger lives safely in the past. So Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire ends in grief, suspicion, and the first open shadow of war. The tournament is over. Cedric Diggory is gone. Voldemort lives again. And Harry, whether he wants it or not, now stands at the center of a fight the rest of the world is still trying not to see.